You're right, Michaela, it is a little high. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here today. I love to come to Spring Valley. I love to go around to the different tables. I've kind of got y'all pegged now, so don't change seats. Don't anybody change. I don't know where law enforcement is today, though. You got me kind of confused over here because I don't see that table full. I'm very excited today to introduce to you our district governor and a good friend of mine, and I know he's a good friend to a lot of you. Today he's going to bring you a very good message, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about District Governor Jimmie Williamson, some things maybe you know and maybe some things you don't know about him. Dr. Jimmie Williamson has been a Rotarian since 1996, having served as president of the Sherrall Club, president-elect of the King Street Club, assistant district governor for 3 years, and member of the nominating committee and the finance committee. Jimmie is a Paul Harris Fellow, a benefactor, and a Bequest Society member. He resides in Sherrall with his wife, Kim, and son, Jake. Another son, Jordan, lives and works in North Charleston. He has an undergraduate and master's degree from Winthrop University, a PhD from the University of South Carolina, and is an author of Roadways to Success, a textbook for underprepared college students, now in its 5th edition. He is a former member of the Winthrop University Board of Trustees and the Chesterfield County School Board. Professionally, Jimmie has spent 28 years in higher education as president of 2 technical colleges. He left for a 6-year period in the business healthcare world, working at Agape Senior. He currently works as the system president, CEO of the South Carolina Technical College System. So he has a real job in addition to being our district governor. It's with a great deal of pride that I present to you our district governor, Jimmie Williamson.
It's great to be here at the Spring Valley Club. This club really means a lot to this district, as evidenced by your contribution to the foundation, your sustained giving, by evidence of 2 past district governors right here in this club, and some other district leadership. The RILA piece, the Interact piece, and the fact that you all are very active in Rotaract, and so it's always great to look back and see the accomplishments of the Spring Valley Club. So thank you for allowing me to be here with you today. This is my second presentation of the day, the first of which was at Blythewood, and I promptly left my prop in Blythewood. So I left my candle. So imagine, if you will, that I have a candle that I have lit and put strategically in front of me, because the theme this year is Light Up Rotary. I want to bring you greetings from our Rotary International President, Gary Wang. Gary is the first RI president from China. He was born on mainland China and then grew up in Taiwan. He is an entrepreneur, businessman, author, and someone who is very, very passionate about Rotary. And at International Assembly, when they bring all the district governors together from around the world to teach us how to be district governors, it is quite an interesting experience. And you always hear from the incoming RI president, and he sets the tone, he reveals the theme, and it's just an exciting time. Well, Gary was determined that we were going to understand a little bit about his culture, so that as we went out in this year and talked to our clubs in our respective districts, that they would understand a little about the Mandarin culture and the Asian culture, and even understand how to speak some Mandarin. So I'm going to teach you some of that today. You know, in China, it is typical when you greet someone to say ni hao. And ni hao, loosely translated, means how are you? And then the response back would be how shishi, fine, thank you. So I would say to you, ni hao, and you would respond back, hao shishi. So let's practice that. Ni hao, hao shishi. Very good. There's a test at the end of this. When things start going really well, in China they will lift one thumb and they'll go, son. So, can you say that? Son. Spring Valley Rotary Club, son. Rotary International, son. Year 2014, 2015, Light Up Rotary, son. And then when things get really, really good, they'll go into the happy clap. And the happy clap goes something like this. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So do that with me, please. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Ni hao. Ni hao. Very good. Son. Very good. I would light the candle today to show that the glow from one single candle can light up a room. If we were in darkness, to light one candle would illuminate this entire room. Confucius, who is the great ancient Chinese philosopher, is noted to have said, "It is better to light one single candle than to sit alone and curse the darkness." That line pretty much sums up the way we in Rotary approach the work of this organization. There is so much suffering in the world, but if we were to each do our fair share, if we were to each light one candle, if I light one candle, and you light one candle, and the other 120 members of the Spring Valley Rotary Club lights a candle, and then the 4,000 members of Rotary District 7770 lights one candle, and then you combine those candle lights with the 1.2 million Rotarians worldwide, think of the difference that we can make. Think of the energy, the figurative and literal energy that we bring to the table by lighting up just one single candle. I'm sure that the Rotarians in Hartsville, the Hartsville Rotary Club, had no idea that by lighting a candle, by doing something in the Hartsville community, they were influencing in any kind of way a future district governor. I grew up in Hartsville and had the benefit of enjoying a couple of the projects that the Hartsville Rotary Club were involved in. One of which was at my school. I attended a private school until I was in the 3rd grade, transferred to the public school where I later finished my career. And in the public schools, we were required to have book covers on all of our books. Those books were passed from one generation to another to another. There weren't a lot of new editions. And so we were required to cover those books. Well, Hartsville is the home of Sunoco Products, an international pulp and paper manufacturer, which is where my father worked. And the Hartsville Rotary Club, in combination with Sunoco Products and the Hartsville Messenger, decided to print these book covers that they gave out to every member of the Darlington County School District. And so all of our books had these book covers, and on the front of that book cover was the Rotary emblem. It was the wheel, and it was printed in red. I'll never forget that. And on the back was printed the 4-way test. Well, as a 3rd grader, I thought that if it was related to a book, I needed to understand what it was. I probably needed to memorize it. It looked like a poem to me, you know, and so I was always good at trying to memorize poems. So I decided that I would memorize the 4-way test, and I did. And I went out on the playground, and I stood by the fence and gladly recited the 4-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank God my mother didn't dress me in a bow tie that day, because the nerd scale would have gone right off the roof. No one was really impressed. And I didn't know what it meant. Interestingly enough, I had no clue. I kept seeing that symbol, though, because I joined Boy Scout Troop 510, and it was sponsored by the Hartsville Rotary Club. And all the equipment that we had that Rotary emblem emblazed on it. Every tent, every footlocker, every backpack, every piece of equipment that could hold that Rotary wheel, there it was. And I remember even as a Boy Scout, I was charged with taking the template and spray painting that thing on, just any new equipment that we got. Again, I had no idea what Rotary stood for, because in my family there were no Rotarians. I kind of came from a long line of Civitans, Lions. An uncle was the 1966 president of the JCs. I understood what service meant, but I had no idea what Rotary International was all about. So they decided to light a candle, and thank God they did, because then I was aware of what Rotary eventually was all about. Our RI president would like for us in this year, and I know that you have great plans for making this happen, and I'm not going to spill any beans. I told the board when I met with them before this meeting that I felt like I was preaching to the choir, because everything that I was going to talk about, they were already involved in, you're involved in, and I would expect no less from a club that is this stellar. But you are going to be involved in a Rotary Day this year, and you already have Rotary Days. Every club who is involved in service or fundraising projects has an opportunity to put together a Rotary Day. Rotary Days are nothing more than showing the community what you're all about, teaching them about Rotary International, showing them what service looks like, showing them all the good deeds that you do in this community. And so you have some great plans for some Rotary Days. You probably have 5 or 6 that you could roll into a Rotary Day. It is all about public awareness. It is all about teaching people what that 4-way test truly means. It is all about teaching people about that iconic wheel and what that stands for. And it gives you an opportunity to tell your story. We don't tell our story very well. We are humble people. We're doing great things worldwide, but we generally don't tell our story very well. And this is an opportunity for you to do that. A Rotary Day also gives you an opportunity to look at membership opportunities. I know that in this club there are some spouse groups, and I think that's wonderful. You may be waking up with the next Rotarian of the Spring Valley Club and just don't know it yet. I kept after my wife for years. Come join me at Rotary and let's talk about, she would come to the events, she'd come to the social events, but she wouldn't really get involved and get engaged in Rotary. She said, that's sort of your thing. Now, she has a great service heart. She was doing volunteer work all over the place. But and just didn't really see the value of joining Rotary until a colleague asked her to do it. And she said yes. All those years she told me no, and she said yes. She joined the Bennettsville Club, later moved her membership to the Sharon Club. She is now the secretary. And I said, honey, you better beware, because you're on the trajectory now for leadership, because you're going to be president of that club very soon, because you're already the secretary. And she said, oh, no, not me. I said, yeah, I've heard you say no about Rotary before. That got you a long way, didn't it? So you better get ready. She is enjoying Rotary. She is enjoying her ability to work on not only local issues, but global issues as well. It gives us a great deal of pleasure to be able to work on philanthropic things together. And it gives us a way to teach our children what giving back truly all is about. Another priority of RI President Gary is Polio Plus. And thank goodness you all mentioned the polio giving. And you have a very modest Polio Plus goal this year. I think it's $25 a member or something of that nature. I'm sure you'll exceed that. But we have come so far, and those of you who have been Rotarians for a long time know that in the 80s, when Rotary International decided that this was a priority, I don't think that they understood that we would be in it this long. I'm sure you've seen the billboards, you've seen all the advertisements with prominent people holding up 2 fingers saying, we are this close, or we are truly this close. Polio is endemic now in Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Nigeria. This is the 3rd year that there have been no polio cases in India. So India has been declared polio-free. But we are this close. We have a long way to go. And with those 3 countries, thank goodness, we are part of an international organization, because I don't think that as a United States we could get the work done on our own. We need our brothers and sisters in other countries to help us make this happen. We truly are this close, but we need to redouble our efforts to make sure that we eradicate polio as soon as we possibly can. We've attracted the attention of a couple of people that you may have heard about, Bill and Melinda Gates. And the Gates Foundation has agreed For every dollar that we put into Polio Plus and the eradication of polio, they will match that 3 to 1. Now, I don't work in banking or financial management, but I know a good investment when I see it. If I give $1 and then someone puts $3 in, that's a pretty good investment. They are partners with us until we eradicate polio. So please, as you begin to look at your year, you look at your goal, and you look at what needs to be done in this polio eradication effort, please give generously and exceed your goal, which I'm sure you will. I want to talk to you for just a minute, too, about a couple of things that are pretty passionate for me. You have blue buckets on the table, blue cart buckets, and I certainly appreciate the fact that those are there, and I hope that you have given generously throughout the course of having those buckets on the table. I know that Ken is passionate about this, just as I'm passionate. CART is a wonderful project that I want to teach you about and let you know about some things that we might not know about CART. Anybody know what CART stands for? Coins for Alzheimer's Research Trust. The CART Fund was founded right here in District 7770 by a person that I like to say is my Rotary hero, Roger Ackerman. Roger is a member of the Sumter Club. And Roger and his wife saw his mother-in-law suffer with dementia and Alzheimer's and really feel helpless about being able to do anything about this disease. Now, just as I talk about dementia, dementia is an umbrella term. There are 40-some different diagnoses that fall under that umbrella. Alzheimer's is simply one of them. And I will tell you before I begin, too, that every penny that you put into these blue buckets goes for research. None of the money is used for administrative purposes. The interest that is earned off of the money is what is used for administrative purposes with one staff member. So it's not a lot of money that we spend for administrative reasons. This particular effort was started in 1999, and as of today, the CART Fund has awarded almost $5 million to researchers. For those of you who are unfamiliar with how a scientist moves his or her idea to the marketplace, ultimately they're trying to get a National Institute of Health grant, which is really where the $1 million grants come in. But in order to do that, they have to have a track record. And so the micro grants that we have awarded through the CART Fund will enable a scientist to bring a promising idea to the marketplace and hopefully will find a cure for dementia and dementia-related diseases. Just by a show of hands of the people who are in this room, how many of you have experienced any dementia in your family or know someone who has? Please raise your hand. Generally, it's always 50%, more often than not, about 75%, and I've been to a couple of clubs where 100% of the people raise their hand. I've told people before, we think polio is bad, we ain't seen nothing yet. Dementia is a rapidly growing disease in this country. Over 5 million people are suffering today from some form of dementia. Every 67 seconds, someone is diagnosed with dementia. It is the 6th leading cause of death in the U.S., and it's probably higher than that, because when the pathologist traces back the morbidity and tries to find out what the cause of death was, often they overlook the onset of dementia as being one of the aspects that caused this death. There are 17.7 billion hours of unpaid caregiving time being given to people with dementia and dementia-related disorders. If you put a dollar figure on that, that's $220 billion. $220 billion that is a financial impact on our economy. This is a disorder, a disease that is of major epidemic proportions. And the CART Fund is trying to light one candle to help find a cure to these disorders. What I'd like for you to do this year, as you begin to contemplate what you can do to light up Rotary, is to give generously. Always give generously to these blue buckets. Have these blue buckets out at every opportunity. Every meeting that you have, every board meeting, anytime one or more of you are gathered, have a blue bucket on the table. Give generously. Educate yourself. I have given all the presidents, Phil has a copy of the resources of people that you can invite to come in and to talk about dementia. There are videos that you can watch. You can educate yourself about dementia and dementia-related disorders. I would urge you also, as you begin to have fundraisers, that you might carve out some of that money to be used for the CART fund as a specific fundraiser for CART. And that you would send your money in early. Ken will tell you, we need to know how much money we have to give away. And we need to know that early on. So don't wait until the very end of your year to send in your CART donation. CART is something that I'm truly passionate about, and I hope that you will join me in supporting this year. I'm also pretty passionate about something else that's, I think, epidemic in South Carolina, and that is literacy. Over 15% of South Carolinians are functionally illiterate. Some of them may be culturally illiterate too, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, I'm sure that at 1 o'clock today, you have no doubt come in contact with someone along the way who can't read or write. They have a great way of covering that up. You will never know that that person can't read or write. But 15% of South Carolinians fall into that category. You could give 1 hour a month to read to a third grader. We know that if a third grader is reading on grade level, when they leave the third grade, they're more than likely to be reading on grade level when they reach the 8th grade, and if they're reading on grade level there, they're more than likely to graduate from high school and to become contributing members of our society. So you can light one candle. I'm not asking you to reinvent the wheel. You already have some literacy programs that are going on. I would ask that you expand those, and that maybe you even partner with other literacy organizations to do some things outside of what you've normally done. Literacy is something that we can do something about, and we can see tangible results. I know that in the Midlands area, you all took pretty seriously the whole Rotary Has Heart event last year with the hunger issues, and doing some project related with hunger and maybe a food collection or something. Hunger is also an issue in South Carolina. My wife and I volunteer at the Lois McCarn Food Bank on Saturday mornings in Cheraw. And our food bank does not give food to people who are on public assistance. These are people who are the working poor, people who are trying to make ends meet from one paycheck to another, and they don't come every Saturday. They just need an occasional handout of food. We know that people are hungry. I'm sure within a 5-mile radius of this place today, someone is hungry. And so I would urge you as a Rotary Club to make sure that when you're asked to put together a project around Rotary Has Heart, that you think about the ways that you can impact the Spring Valley community. This year I ask that you will light up candles in your community as you strive to be of service to our fellow man. I hope that you'll light up Rotary as you engage your club in a Rotary Day to show all the wonderful things that we do, and people can see our philosophy really be put into action. I hope that you'll light up Rotary by learning more about a dreaded disease facing at least 5 million Americans today, and that is dementia. I hope that you will light up Rotary as you redouble our commitment to polio, and that you will continue to support our charity, which is the Rotary Foundation. You've done that so well. Don't let up on supporting our charity through your gifts and through your service. I ask that you will light up Rotary by continuing to support literacy efforts and to support hunger efforts, and that you will make sure that in some small way you are making a difference, not only in this club, but in the community that you live in. Finally, I'll ask for your support this year. Because of the trust that was placed in me by the district, I am challenged to preserve and protect what Rotary holds dear. I ask that you will advise me when I go astray, and that you will follow me when I lead. And together, we can make a difference by lighting one candle at a time. Thank you very much. I typically like to end my presentation with everyone standing to recite the 4-way test, and if you have other business at the end of that, I'll turn it back over to you. But if everyone would stand and recite the four-way test with me of the things that we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you all.
Thanks, District Governor Williamson. Just some important points. I sent out an email this morning. Ken Morris had forwarded me a note about CARDS and the research that's helping to diagnose Alzheimer's. Certainly, polio, Rotarians to help facilitate getting the vaccinations in there, the immunizations for recipients plays an integral role in some of these countries. And so keep that in mind. I was going to do the happy clap at the club assembly, but I was could nowhere near done it as well as Jimmie, so I left that. Unfortunately, he was able to share that. So, do we have a wrap?